this knife that struck him down. Let me put to rest my father's ghost.
Welcome to Enigma.
It's the greatest encryption device in history. The Germans use it for all major communications.
HBO Max, or Max as it may be known depending on where you live, is one of the most popular streaming platforms in the world. And it is a studio that is internationally recognized for producing high quality and high budget films. When you see that HBO logo on a movie, chances are you will not be disappointed. HBO has a large library of amazing films which can make it challenging to find an amazing historical movie to watch. But in this video, I will solve that problem for you, as I will give you my top 10 picks of excellent historical movies and history-inspired films that you can watch on the HBO Max platform right now. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel, History Spark.
First Lord of the Admiralty back in power! What signal?
Winston is back, sir.
At number 10 is The Gathering Storm, a biographical film which covers the life of Winston Churchill from 1919 to 3rd of September 1939, right before the start of World War II. This film is pretty different from the rest of the movies on this list, as it is a slower paced story with a more intimate look into the life of Winston Churchill and his relationship with his wife Clementine Churchill in particular. Albert Finney received great acclamation for his portrayal of Winston Churchill and won both a BAFTA and an Emmy for his portrayal of the character. The Gathering Storm has a great plot, interesting characters and amazing acting, and if you're looking to find out more about Winston Churchill before the start of World War II, then The Gathering Storm is a great film and recommendation for you.
Challenge. You need a magician, someone who can make a small corner of Southeast Asia disappear.
There is no victory to be had!
Nothing I say, no matter how I say it, can ever bring this country together again.
At number 9, it is Path to War, a historical drama which delves into the tumultuous events leading up to America's involvement in the Vietnam War, and all the politics and military strategies involved in making such a decision. This film provides a unique perspective on the Vietnam War, as we witness the events from the perspective of President Lyndon B. Johnson and his closest advisors, and the internal debates and moral dilemmas behind one of America's most controversial conflicts. The acting here is brilliant, with Michael Gambon delivering a standout portrayal of Johnson, and you can really see the impact that the war has on this president throughout the entire film. The cinematography, costume design and set pieces are all magnificent here, but the story does take place over a number of years, which can make some elements of the plot a bit disjointed. But overall, Path to War is a brilliant film for anyone wanting to watch the more political side of the Vietnam War.
Die herrliche Zeit, die wir gemütlich im gastlichen Hause verlebten, herzlichen Dank für eure nationalsozialistische Gastfreundschaft.
At number 8, it is The Zone of Interest, a World War II film which tells the story of Rudolf Höss, the commander of the Auschwitz concentration camp, and his wife Hedwig, who is trying to create a perfect little family paradise as the neighbor to this brutal camp. And while Hedwig is living in a false bliss, her husband Rudolf is dealing with all the turmoil within Auschwitz, where more brutal and deadly methods are being used against the Jews. The film doesn't really have much of a plot. It's kind of just witnessing how ordinary and normal Höss could be with his family as a husband and father, and just how normalized the screams and horrors going on within the concentration camp beside them become to the family and their guests. The Zone of Interest presents the horrors of the Holocaust in a very unique and different way, where instead of witnessing what the atrocities are inside Auschwitz, we just hear them in the background of a family who has normalized these sounds and cries and is enjoying their life to the highest degree. The Zone of Interest is definitely not a film that everyone will enjoy, but I do recommend all viewers of this channel and anyone with an HBO Max subscription to at least give this film a try once. At number 7, it is The Huntsman Winter's War, which I understand isn't a historical film as it is a pure fantasy adventure, but the setting and story is still one that will appeal to the majority of historical movie fans. This film is a sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman, but it can definitely be watched as a standalone film as well. And this film depicts the story of a warrior huntsman along with his crew of misfits, setting off on an adventure to put an end to the reign of terror of a very evil queen. And the plot and storyline is as basic as the premise sounds and is definitely not the strong point of the film, but the cinematography, musical score and brilliant acting by Emily Blunt, Chris Hemsworth and Charlize Theron is definitely the best aspect of this film. This is a fast-paced and fun action adventure, and if you're looking for a simple and straightforward fantasy adventure on a free evening, then The Huntsman Winter's War is the perfect recommendation for you. At number 6, it is Chernobyl The Lost Tapes, which is a documentary movie which provides insights, new interviews and footage about the horrific Chernobyl disaster where a malfunction within a nuclear power plant resulted in the deaths of at least 30 people in Ukraine. There was a huge effort by the Ukrainian government to contain and eliminate this nuclear disaster, which resulted in over $68 billion being used to resolve this nuclear catastrophe. And the Chernobyl The Lost Tapes revisits this tragedy in a way never seen before by audiences. This film does a great job of visualizing what occurred before, during and after the Chernobyl disaster, and some of the interviews from survivors who experienced these events firsthand is very riveting. However, the narration is terrible in this film and the subtitles could have been a lot more clear and descriptive. But overall, if you have never watched a previous documentary or film on the Chernobyl disaster, then Chernobyl The Lost Tapes will be a really educational and interesting watch for you. At number 5, it is The Last Emperor, which tells the story of P, the last emperor of China who would rule from the age of 2 to 6. And this fascinating story tells the story of this child emperor who would then be imprisoned and removed from power by the Chinese Communist Party and the subsequent political rehabilitation he would have to face. This winner of 9 Oscar awards is a historical film which has been mostly forgotten by the majority of mainstream audiences. And this movie has brilliant acting, beautiful cinematography, and some very realistic set pieces and costume design. If you have some prior knowledge of the events, then this movie will be even more enjoyable. But if you're looking for a unique and engaging look at Chinese history, then The Last Emperor is the movie for you.
Victor Laszlo. Laszlo? The Nazis have been chasing him all over Europe.
You know what this is? Something that even you have never seen.
At number 4, it is the classic film Casablanca, which is set in the backdrop of World War II, and this film tells the extraordinary story of Rick Blaine, a nightclub owner in Casablanca, and the tough challenge he faces in helping one of his former love interests, Ilsa, escape Nazi persecution, alongside her husband Victor Laszlo, a wanted rebel that German forces are pursuing. This classic 1940s film is perhaps one of the most popular and famous historical films ever created, and the strong acting, dialogue and plot of the film hold up very well even to this day. Of course, visually and technically this film appears outdated, and the set pieces for this movie are limited and very simplistic. But if you're looking to revisit a classic movie and witness a World War II film that was actually released while World War II was occurring, then Casablanca is the movie for you.
Good and all! Who holds sway over the 5 points?
His name's Amsterdam. Amsterdam.
At number 3, it is Gangs of New York, a historical epic that plunges viewers into the violent underworld of mid-19th century New York, where gang warfare and political strife reign supreme. This film depicts the brutal rise of gang leader Bill the Butcher Cutting, and it also portrays the quest for revenge by young Irish immigrant Amsterdam Valiant, as his father was murdered by Bill the Butcher. And with an all-star cast including Daniel Day-Lewis and Leonardo DiCaprio, it should be pretty evident to say that the acting here is superb, and the production design, musical score and cinematography are extraordinary and very different from other period dramas as well. However, the plot of the film isn't really that well fleshed out, and the runtime for this movie is definitely far too long. But if you can get over a few plot inconsistencies and pacing issues, then you will love Gangs of New York. And number 2, it is The Imitation Game, a historical drama that focuses on the extraordinary efforts made by Alan Turing and his team to break the codes of Nazi messages at the height of Germany's power during World War II. And this is the first depiction I have seen that delves so deeply into both the technical and personal struggles involved with code breaking. And this unique perspective works very well and makes for a fantastic watch. Benedict Cumberbatch delivers a standout performance as Turing, the quirky and eccentric genius codebreaker, and the supporting cast with Keira Knightley and Charles Dance further flesh out the world as well. The script here is also excellent alongside the musical score and cinematography. Some people may not be a fan of the flashback method of depicting a plot, but I personally had no problems with it, and if anyone is looking for a compelling watch that offers both historical and technical insight into code breaking, then The Imitation Game is for you.
I think you are another of these desert-loving English.
I think he's a kind of prophet. They do or he does.
One more failure, and you will find yourself alone.
And the top spot on this list goes to Lawrence of Arabia, which will be a film familiar to all fans of the historical genre, and a classic film that definitely deserves the high praise it has received throughout the decades. This film stars Peter O'Toole and Omar Sharif, with both giving one of the best performances of their career. And this film has been rated as one of the top 5 movies of all time by both the American Film Institute and the British Film Institute as well, highlighting the fact that Lawrence of Arabia is beloved by both viewers and critics alike. Lawrence of Arabia is an epic historical film based on the life of T.E. Lawrence and his 1926 book 7 Pillars of Wisdom, which explores his experiences in the Ottoman Empire during World War I. This is a film with a unique and engaging storyline, and if you ever find yourself with 227 minutes to spare, then watching Lawrence of Arabia may be a great way to fill that time. So let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my recommendations of the top 10 historical movies that you can watch on HBO Max right now, and if there are any other excellent historical films on the platform that I may have missed out on. And as always, if you want to stay up to date with everything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel History Spark, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.